welcome to a new episode of A Dog Soul. I'm Anita, I'm your host, and today we're going to talk about the all-time, everywhere topic, dominance. So stay tuned and have fun. So, this is something everybody talks about, and there is so much mystery around this, and so many trainers still use this as an explanation for right about everything, and it's just plain wrong. Some of you might stop listening, but I'd like to challenge you to keep an open mind, and if this is over and you still think your dog's dominant, then alright, keep thinking that. But maybe there is something to increase the quality of the relationship between you and your dog, and it might be exactly this. It has always been there, and it's accepted over the whole world, and it's used so commonly, and this is really sad because it's just a piece of misinformation that's out there, and the only purpose is that the dog doesn't feel nice with its owner, and we as owners don't feel very good or very loving about our dogs if we see them as dominant. So now, when is this used? I'm sure you have heard one or another person describe the dog as dominant in a certain situation or overall, and mostly behaviors that are really aggression or fear related are described as dominant behaviors. And this is, as we already said, just wrong. If you look at books from biologists and behaviorists who use this kind of description of behaviors, most of them don't, but some still do. Very often the behavior that's described as dominant is also described exactly the same as aggression. So if we're honest, there is no difference. So let's talk about some of the behaviors that are described as dominance related. One of the worst things is if fear-related issue or fear-related behavior is called dominance behavior. This is very sad because what this does to our minds is that we see the dog as some weirdo who tries to take control over a situation or over his day-to-day life. And if it's a fearful dog, it's often said that he's trying to be dominant and he can't because he's fearful. And this is just very often happening in situations where the dog is actually biting out of fear. And this is not a dominant thing. It's just fear related. So something in the environment triggers a behavioral response, and in addition, the emotion fear. So the dog's feeling insecure about something that might be a person coming closer to him, or a sound he can't place, or a new thing in his environment like a vacuum cleaner, something like that. And he can't avoid that, so he's reacting aggressively towards this stimulus. And this is fear as the underlying issue and aggression as the behavior. There is no dominance. Another situation often described as dominance related is if the dog's aggressive or reactive towards other dogs on the leash. And this is again mostly triggered by another dog who is too close and makes the own dog fearful and react. So again, there is no dominance thing. If your dog is reactive to other dogs, he doesn't try to overpower them or overpower you or something like that. This is just not true. The dog is just trying to increase distance and therefore reacts in a very noisy or even aggressive way, like lunging, barking, something like that. Again, no hierarchy thing, no rank thing, no dominance. And another thing very often described as dominant behavior is resource guarding. And here's some truth, at least some truth. Resource guarding is something totally natural, not only for dogs, but for every animal, every living, breathing thing. And this happens when there is a resource that is important for the individual, and the individual wants to keep that resource, and if he feels threatened to lose it, he will show some guarding behavior. That might be growling, that might be barking, that might be biting, always depending on how close the threat is and what the dog has learned in previous experiences. If we are honest, there are some resources for us too, which we tend to guard. Like if we're in a restaurant and we're eating and somebody just comes to our table and tries to take the plate away, we would also address that person, tell him to stop it, tell him to go away. If he wouldn't do that, we would maybe yell at him or yank the plate back or even push him or something like that. So we would guard our plate because it's important for us in that moment. And that's what previously has been called dominance behavior, because one individual is dominant in the situation, but this has changed. Now this is called resource guarding potential. And it's because there's always some kind of resource there that the animal is trying to keep or to protect or something like that. And sometimes this is confused with self-preservation. So the animal isn't protecting a resource, but protecting itself. Of course, both is totally natural behavior. Again, the dog's showing aggressive behavior while guarding this resource, and he's not dominating anyone, he's not trying to overpower anyone. If you want to explain it with dominant and submissive, the animal guarding the resource would be the dominant one, and the one who leaves the resource would be the submissive one. But this is both the dogs act on their own free will. A dog won't just jump another dog to get him into submission. That's nothing a dog would do. Situations like that are described as dominance, but it is aggression. One dog jumping on another dog and the other dog showing some signs of calming signals or something like that, or not moving, anything in that area. This is aggression from one dog and trying to avoid the conflict or any harm from the other dog. So I think it's very important to stop calling our dogs dominant. What this does, again, is only make us fearful of losing control or seeing our loving animals as somebody who tries to overpower us, and those aren't nice emotions. There is no reason for this. If your dog shows aggression towards you, don't try to see any delusion of grandeur in him. Try to assess the situation. What's your dog feeling right now? Why is he doing this? Aggression has always the purpose of getting more distance. So your dog tries to tell you you're too close and he doesn't feel comfortable. So, of course, if you increase the distance, you're rewarding your dog for the aggressive behavior. But if you don't, there is no positive outcome. So let's say your dog's guarding some kind of chew toy and you get close and he's growling it. You have two options. Option one, you take a step back, acknowledge your dog telling you you're too close and this is uncomfortable. He's not sure and he's afraid you will take this away from him. your dog will be very happy that that worked and will become more assertive in his growling behavior, which is communicating. And you know, all right, there is a threshold for my dog where he feels comfortable with me, and one step closer, he doesn't. So you know, next time you won't come that close and maybe add something so he will associate you with positive things, even if he has something he will guard. The other choice would be you stay close to your dog, or you get even closer, and your dog will escalate even more, and this can result in him trying to bite you, him really biting you, or if he doesn't escalate that far, he might just give up. But this doesn't make your dog feel nice. And he will get some strategies ready, what he can do to guard his resource in a better way. So maybe next time he will hide under something so you can't reach him, but he can bite out. And then you got a problem. So it's totally okay to reward your dog for telling you to go away. This may sound a little weird, but I'm glad my dog is communicating with me, and he wasn't able to do this in the beginning, and this was very difficult. So my dog had learned in his previous life that threatening behavior like growling doesn't get him anywhere, and he has to bite immediately. So this happened when somebody tried to touch him, or somebody tried to take his toy away, or his chew thing away, or something like that. Every time somebody got too close to him and he got uncomfortable, he froze for like half a second and then he bit. So you see, this was something you can't really react to because your reaction takes longer than half a second. And we had to be very careful to establish new ways of communicating with each other. So the first time he growled at me, I was so happy that he felt sure enough to do so. And I took a step back. And now we are at a point where he trusts me and he is really sure of himself. He knows, all right, if I have something that's important to me and my human comes closer, something good is happening, or at least I don't have to be afraid that she's taking this away from me. So he doesn't tense up, he doesn't growl anymore, he doesn't bite anymore, he's just relaxed when he has something and I approach him. And if somebody else does that and he doesn't trust that person, he will growl and go away with his resource. So this is a very nice change. And it happened because I acknowledged him feeling uncomfortable and showing me that. And this was a very good thing for our relationship. Also, of course, if you try to get your dog to stop resource guarding everything or resource guarding much or any other kind of fear, you should always check your dog's confidence levels. If your dog is a very confident little fella, he won't have the necessity to guard a lot of things. If he's a very uncertain fella, you will feel the need to protect everything that's nice for him because he's afraid to lose that little he has. So of course you can again start confidence building with your dog, and everything that gives your dog a piece of success is something that's good for his confidence. So every marker signal and reward you give him, every reinforcing item or reinforcing behavior is increasing his confidence. Everything where he can experience success in, let's say, finding some treats or learning new tricks or figuring out a solution to a problem all by himself, like unboxing some food or something. So everything you do with your dog where you use positive reinforcement is something that's good for his confidence, just to sum it up a little bit. And if your dogs showing fear or aggression and you can't really place that and it's weird, get him checked out. There might be some underlying condition where your dog is having some pain or some discomfort in any organ, or he might have headaches, he might have migraines, he might have low thyroid levels, he might have some inflammation somewhere in his body. So this could be kind of everything. And if you're not sure and if you can't see connections between environment and behavior, then you should definitely look into internal issues for this behavior. And keep in mind that your dog is showing you how he's feeling in a situation. So if your dog is showing you aggressive behavior, he wants to increase distance. If your dog's backing away from you in any kind of way, this might also be just turning his head away. He's showing you also distance increasing behaviors and conflict avoidance behaviors. So what you can do to make your dog feel instantly a little better is just increase distance. And to prevent any sudden behaviors because your dog is startled, you can always announce things you do, or when you want to approach your dog, you can just say his name, address him first, or give a name to the behaviors you do. Like, do you want to get touched? And then you hold your hand out and your dog is free to either approach or don't. And if it doesn't, it's fine too. So to sum it up, please get that whole dominance thing out of your mind. It's not anything that helps in any way. It's just labeling something that's actually something else and making yourself feel threatened by your dog and unsure about some kind of power, whatever. And there is no reason for it. There is no dominant dog. There is only a dog that's trying to get by in his new or even not so new day-to-day life. And if you are not sure, if you have any kind of worries that your dog might do something you can't control, or if you're unsure to be able to handle your dog well, then get a trainer, get somebody who can help you and offer an outside opinion. And if you're looking for a dog trainer, then you can look for things like pack, dominance, hierarchy, rank, or something like that. And if he's using anything like that on his website or something like that, or in your first conversation, then walk away. He doesn't have the needed knowledge to work with you and your dog. And of course, if you get a trainer and he's asking something of you that doesn't feel right and that makes your dog show some signs of fear, like rolling him on the back or something like that, or kicking him or using some kind of shock collars or something like that, again, don't let him get to you. Just go with your gut feeling and walk away from that trainer. Alright, if you have any questions about certain situations, or if you want to discuss a video or something like that, you're very welcome to do so. Just send me an email and we'll set up a call. And of course, if you want any topic to be discussed in the show, again, you can send me an email or WhatsApp and I'll be glad to take that topic into discussion. All right, so I hope you get a more neutral perspective on your dog's behavior with no weird labels like dominance, and have a lot more fun training with your dog. Until next time, bye!